Never wearing a black shirt again. Posted by Elfie Star. For some reason, I've, 21-year-old female, have always been confused to work at places wherever I go since I was like 12. Be it at supermarkets, malls, or parks, someone always comes to me thinking I work there. This particular day, everywhere I went, people came up thinking I worked there. I work at the famous Green Apron coffee shop. Even though there isn't a set uniform, our dress code's typically a black shirt and some jeans. I just got off a 5 to 2 shift and was dead tired and annoyed with the customer interactions that I had. Although all I wanted to do was just go home and sleep, I had errands to run and I planned to do shopping with my family. My first stop was to go grocery shopping with my mom as we were planning a family dinner for the weekend. I'm the shopper that goes to get what they want and need, while my mom is more of a browse shopper. So I was going back and forth from the cart to the different aisles to speed up the shopping process while my mom was browsing. I don't know where everything is at this supermarket, but I can read the signs and go from there. Since I kept coming back to my mom and dropping things off in our cart, this old lady that kept looking at me assumed I worked there. I would have helped any other day, but I didn't want to talk to anyone other than my mom, and I had my headphones on. As I was talking to my mom, the little old lady asked where something is. The interaction was in Spanish, so not everything would be translated word for word. She said, "Girl, do you know where this item is?" I can't remember what she asked for. And I quickly turned to her and say, "Sorry, I don't work here," and continued speaking with my mom and asking what else she needed. I can't really blame the lady for thinking I worked there, given how I was asking my mom what she needed, but I wasn't wearing the green shirt and the black apron that the employees wear, and I had my headphones on. However, this lady was set on having me help her. I noticed the old lady watching me ever since me and my mom went inside the spices aisle, so I was able to see who was with her shopping. Since I didn't help her, the old lady sends her grown daughter to ask me a question. Once again, I say, "Sorry, you don't work here." And I didn't process that they were family yet until they sent their toddler granddaughter to me. The little girl asked, "Excuse me, do you know where this is?" I was getting quickly annoyed by this family not taking a hint, but I wasn't about to snap at the poor girl. Again, I say, "Sorry, sweetie, but I don't work here. Please tell your family to stop bothering me." And then I turned to my mom, begging her to finish with her shopping. My mom looked at me disapprovingly for not helping this family. Before I can refute, I feel myself being grabbed by the shoulder and turned. This man I've never seen before angrily shouts at me, "Why are you only helping this woman and refusing to help my family? They even sent my 5-year-old daughter and you wouldn't help her." Even though all I wanted to do was scream and punch this guy for grabbing me roughly, I put on my customer service persona to defuse the situation. "Sir, I'm sorry that your family has confused me for someone that works here, but if you look for someone with a black apron, I'm sure they'll be glad to help you out. I'm shopping here with my mother and helping her out. Maybe if you do the same, your family wouldn't have asked me. Have a great day." And I forcibly grab my mother in the cart and fast walk out of that aisle. I was shaking in anger and anxiety. That family probably, finally, accepted that I didn't work there because I didn't see them again while we were in line. While on the car ride back, my mom told me that man wouldn't have screamed at me if only I'd helped the old lady. I looked at my mom in disbelief, but chose to ignore her and not say anything. Putting that interaction behind me, I went to the mall with my twin brother and sister. Still wearing my black shirt and having headphones on, I went about shopping. We went inside the Disney store to buy a present for our niece. I was already done and paid for my present, so I was just looking around while my siblings were still deciding what to get. From the corner of my eye, I see this mom walking towards me, flagging me for my attention. I just look at her blankly, and then she registered I didn't work there. A simple sorry would have been fine, but she just had to put the blame of mistaking me for an employee on me. "It's just that you were wearing a black shirt. I thought you worked here. Maybe don't wear that so you don't confuse people." I just shrugged my shoulders and said, "I don't care." Moving to different stores and buying things I wanted, I was the first one done with my shopping, so I asked my sister for the car keys so I can drop off my things. Looking for the entrance we came from, I was walking everywhere around this department store. This department store uniform is black pants and a black shirt. Mind you, I have headphones on and carrying multiple bags. I'm walking towards the entrance where I think we parked, and 2 ladies are walking the opposite direction towards me, one in a wheelchair and the other pushing her. The one in the wheelchair snaps her fingers at me and starts to talk, but the one pushing her says something along the lines of, "Leave her alone, she doesn't work here." The one in the wheelchair then rudely questions, "Why would she be wearing a black shirt then if she doesn't work here? She needs to do her job, she's wearing a black shirt." Should I have ignored her comment and went my merry way? Absolutely. Did I say things and act a bit too far? Probably. But I was so tired and fed up of having these people just speak to me so rudely and blame me for things I have no control over. I was off the clock and still had people screaming at me just because they thought I was a worker. And I snapped at this lady. So I bent down to be at this lady's eye height. What am I supposed to wear then? I can't freaking wear a black shirt now because you're too dense to see that I don't work here. I got headphones on and I'm carrying different bags from other stores. You know what? You look like you work here. You're wearing a black shirt and you don't know where the things are? Call your manager over here. You're a terrible employee. The lady just looks shocked and is gaping at me and stuttering, and the other lady's just pushing her, just looks down in embarrassment and mumbles an apology and rolls the woman away quickly. I just stand there taking deep breaths, just to calm myself down. Eventually, I find the car and just wait for my siblings to come back. Haven't worn a black shirt since then, aside from when I work, but I still get confused as an employee. I guess I just have the look of an employee everywhere I go. Security thinks I'm his relief, posted by OKCow599. I work for a pretty large security company that has a contract with the absolute biggest employer in the city. This is where I work security for. I also live in a security protected apartment complex. Plot twist, it's protected by the same company I work for. My apartment was right next to the clubhouse. This was where security parked. Some background information. The company as a whole uses tan shirts for supervisors and white shirts for officers, but the specific contract for this employer dictated that supervisors wore white shirts and officers wore blue. I'm a supervisor. To top it off, my apartment complex is only a 5-minute drive, 15-minute walk from where I work. On this one particular day, I had just gotten off at 8 a.m. from a 12-hour shift and have exactly 8 hours before I had to be back in for another 12-hour shift. I also had to deal with an employee of the company I protect trying to start fist fights and punching me in the face just 20 minutes before my shift ended. So I was already on edge. I pulled up my car to the front of my apartment and, being the friendly introvert that I am, waved to the security guard who was looking directly at me and then went towards my front door. As I was moving through the big key ring to get my key out, my shoulder is grabbed and I am violently turned around. Still haven't been able to settle down from the incident at work. I put the guy who grabbed me over the railing and on his head. He wasn't injured or anything, it just took him a minute to get up, as though he went a full 180 in under a second. When I realized it was the security guard of the complex, I walked over and tried to help him up. He fired off at me. "You aren't allowed in the residence apartments. I'll have you fired for this." Now, I have seen this guy a few times when I went to check the mail, but he seemed not to recognize me. I can fully understand. I see 500 people walk in and out where I work, and I never bother learning names unless 1. I work with you every day, 2. You're one of the big shots who can actually fire me in that instant, and 3. Cause trouble frequently. Needless to say, I can understand the lack of recognition. "I don't work here, I live here." "BS," he immediately responded once he got back on his feet. "I know our uniform. You're the new guy supposed to be relieving me." He grabbed my arm and tried to show me where the car was. "Remove your hand from my arm or I will remove it from yours." I was already done and looking at most, 6 hours of sleep, still in fight mode. I would have apologized later for this line, but spoilers. He's already on the radio calling in a supervisor to come deal with me. An hour later, the property manager is coming in to open the clubhouse. She stops and smiles and waves and comes over. "Hi, didn't think you would be out at this time." The property manager and I were pretty cool with each other. I'm skilled enough to make most repairs myself, I'm never late with rent, and once I ran out to the pool to perform CPR for a resident. She also knew from the inspection yesterday that I was going to be pulling a messed up 12 on, 8 off, 12 on a couple days. Before I can explain anything, the other guard butted in. "He was trying to go to the resident's apartment. I got my supervisor on the way. He won't be doing it again here." Ladies and gentlemen, I turned him upside down. The property manager, a nice, sweet older woman, was about to turn this idiot inside out. Before she could say anything, the officer's supervisor drove up and asked what was going on. She cut the officer off and told him, "This fool is holding one of our residents hostage outside his apartment. I want him out of this complex 5 minutes ago, and he will not be coming back here ever." The supervisor just gave the officer a dismissive thumb back motion. He had no leeway to argue. The contractee can always tell who not to allow on any site, even our own employees. Yeah, he was fired on the spot. And this is not the end, folks. Remember how I said we work for the same company? The corporate big shots decided to rehire him and send him to the largest employer they guard and give him a second shot. He arrived for an interview at my facility, where I had hiring power. The interview went all of 3 questions. 1, are you going to keep anyone out that's supposed to be in here? 2, are you going to ask for credentials for anyone you don't know trying to enter? And 3, are you going to grab anyone? He said no, and I accepted him to the facility. He's been working a year here now and is one of my best access control officers on site, even to the point someone claimed he let someone in that wasn't authorized, and I laughed instantly. Karen slapped and pushed me because I was ignoring her and not helping, posted by Praveen Shankar 007. I'm an 18-year-old male, born completely deaf and mute. Also, I am partially blind in my left eye. I live with my sister, 28, female, who had been taking care of me since our parents died. Recently, she got married and went on her honeymoon, so I'm on my own for a few weeks. This happened yesterday. Usually, whenever I go out, I'm accompanied by my sister due to my disability. But now, since she's on her honeymoon, I had to go out alone. There was a new supermarket opened in our area, and I needed some items, so I decided to go there and grab them. My bad for wearing a red-colored shirt almost similar to the employees working there, but if you look closely, you could see that it was not the uniform. I was at the electronics section looking for some batteries when I see an old man struggling to get some DVDs at the top shelf. Hey, since I'm tall, I helped him. He thanked me, and I can actually do lip reading, and went on his way. Then I began looking for the batteries. That's when I felt someone grab my left wrist. I turned around and a woman in her late 40s slapped me. She was speaking something, but I couldn't follow her lips as she spoke too fast. However, I was able to catch some words like you, ignore, job, and so on. So I signed to her that I'm deaf. Apparently, this was a wrong move because she became more irate toward the signs. Again, she was yelling something, but I couldn't catch anything. So I took my notebook and started writing that I'm deaf and mute. Before I could finish, she grabbed my notebook and pen and threw them away. Then she slapped me again and pushed me to the ground. Luckily, by this time, a store employee came to see what the commotion was about. He saw me on the ground and helped me up. Then he asked me what happened. Before I can sign to him, Karen starts to yell at the employee. I don't know what she said as she was not facing me. After she finished, I signed to the employee that I cannot hear or speak. Fortunately, he understood and explained this to the lady, but she is still not convinced. She tries to assault me again, but I moved away. Then I wrote and showed the employee to call the cops on her. The employee nodded and called the cops. Karen tried to run away, but the security caught her. The police arrived in about 10 minutes. They first talked to the employee who explained the situation about how Karen assaulted me because she mistook me for a store employee. One police officer comes and speaks to me. I understood that he wanted my version of events, so I wrote everything down and showed it to the officer. Then they went to check the CCTV footage, then came back and asked me if I wanted to press charges. I gladly said yes. Karen was then placed in handcuffs and given a free ride at the back of a police cruiser. The manager then explained to me that Karen thought I worked there and that she became angry that I ignored her. She'd been standing on my left side, so obviously I couldn't see her. The store manager then offered me a 50% discount on the products. I texted my sister about the events that happened, and she was livid. Oh, did I mention that my sister is a lawyer? She told me that she herself will be handling the case and would see to that Karen would get maximum time. Court date is in 40 days. I'll update it after the court. Now, unfortunately, there is no update on the story yet, but it's good to see that she got served and he got the justice. How's that for an old school reference? If you made it this far, comment one thing that you liked about this video. Be sure to check another video here, and I'll see you in that next one.